Can a conversion to Christianity really be so insensitive to the truth claims of Christianity?
Contrary to O'Connor's declaration, I consider truth claims of Christianity better labelled as truth assumptions. Most who come to faith in Christ do not first check out all the truth claims, rather they encounter Jesus. Realizing the consequentiality of this encounter, they become believers. As a result of becoming believers, they appropriate either known as having assumed certain truths. Any apparent
lack of, arguments for the existence of God,
or the truth of Christianity on Ayaan's part may just be of this origin. Ayaan does seem to deny literal belief in all of the Bible. I suspect this is because of her lack of knowledge of Christianity, her wanting to be accommodating to her fellow atheists or ex-fellow atheists, or because she values not literal interpretations. Ayaan Hirsi Ali, a Somali-born lady who has become a leading public intellectual in the Western world, is African. That is not a racist comment, I hope. It's just true. One might expect her outlook to be coloured by her African origins. This is difficult in her engagement with scholars in Europe and North America, who are largely ignorant of the implications of such origins. Hence my contribution as someone who has lived in African circles in East Africa since 1988. Ayaan does seem to be a miracle. Most Africans in the West achieve no such prominence. Of course, she's quick to herself admit, an African who is a woman, who's very articulate, and who takes Western liberalism and atheism seriously, is such a rare bird that many are bound to notice. Ayaan announced becoming a Christian in November 2023. Much ink has been spilled and many videos produced since that announcement. From Muslim to atheist to Christian is quite a trajectory in one lifetime. Her conversion has drawn criticism as well as acclaim. Much criticism, including in this case by O'Connor, arises from implicit assumptions widely made in the West that are often not shared in Africa. Many contemporary scholars make such assumptions unknowingly. The example I have in mind, dualism. That is, mind, body, or spiritual versus physical dualism. This can quickly be seen in O'Connor's comments. For example, his question whether the supernatural exists.
Perhaps evidenced in part by our very desire for meaning, and that since only something non-natural can give us this meaning, the supernatural must exist.
This implies at least two dualisms. Something can exist or not exist, and that there is a natural realm which should be complemented by a supernatural one. Now we can add that which exists or is natural is frequently referred to in English using the term real. He seems to be hard on God, who, because he is spiritual, is expected to be unreal, yet is also expected to be real all at once. O'Connor tells us Christianity declares
there exists an actual real person called God.
My dispute here is likely not to be only with O'Connor, it is with Westerners in general. I do wonder how Ayaan herself deals with this. Native English discourse largely presupposes the dualism I have mentioned. African discourse widely does not. Neither does much Christian discourse. Certainly that prior to around 1500 did not. It is hard for native English speakers to conceptualize a world in which dualisms are absent. This presents them with a serious difficulty with understanding anything but Western Christianity. O'Connor recognizes that people have
a fundamental disagreement about what religion is.
Now, the contemporary term religion is a complement to secularism. It is basically what secularism is not. This is by no means the original meaning, however, of the term. It was once used to describe Protestant Christianities, as reflected in Ayaan's realization found in her book, Infidel. That descriptor came from the Roman Catholic distinction between the secular, that's priests in the community, as against the religious, at the time that was monks in monasteries. So indeed, much confusion can arise from the multiple and often limited comprehensions of what religion is and is actually supposed to be. Back to what one has to believe to be a Christian. Regarding his truth claims, O'Connor suggests that
and to say that you can be a Christian without believing these things seems ridiculous.
No, not at all. What makes someone a Christian is not first what they believe, it is being accepted by God. A bit of linguistic research, of the nature not much done these days, will reveal that many African languages have great trouble translating terms from English like supernatural, real, and also truth, belief, faith, God, spirit, house. Hey, hang on a minute, can anything be translated? To say that to be a Christian requires believing things as articulated in theological talk as understand using native speaker English is to exclude almost all Christians in Africa itself from true belief. We seem to be seeing O'Connor trying to put severe limits on the nature of God, who is surely the one who ultimately decides who is Christian and who is not. Does God have to comply with modernity? O'Connor's discussion regarding the appropriateness of the high profile of Ayaan's Christianity's role in fending off China, Islam and woke reflects his comprehension that Christianity must be understood as a religion. It also seems to ignore long diatribes by Old Testament prophets about God's intention to tackle the sins of nations. These are
strange problems to be discussing in an essay that many would have expected to be at least a touch theological in focus.
O'Connor tells us, but are they really strange? Ayaan's being political rather than transcendent and theological actually reflects a very long biblical tradition. Ayaan concedes that she
ultimately found life without any spiritual solace unendurable.
O'Connor counters that perhaps, after all,
religion is a social system invented to provide comfort to a planet of confused apes,
and as
an escape hatch from nihilism.
These comments strongly reflect O'Connor's dualistic assumptions that are largely absent in today's, and perhaps were even more absent in yesterday's, Africa. As does also this undervaluing of a point he cites Lewis as making, that if we have desires that are unfulfillable in this world, then we must have been made for another. Now, no pressure on Ayaan. The attention given to a short article declaring why she is now a Christian may be overblown. Its prominence has prompted many to comment, now including myself. The speaker, Dr. Jim Harries, has been engaged in Bible teaching oriented to indigenous churches in Africa using the Luo and Swahili languages since 1988.